I want to talk about values and what we value. How do we value things? Part of that is objective and measurable. What we'll pay for a thing or an experience. The more I value something, the more I'm willing to pay for it. And that value partly depends on the circumstances. If it's a particularly hot day or I'm really, really thirsty, I'll overpay for water. But objective value is found not only in the way we look out at things or experiences, but value is also found in the ways others look at us. And we are objectively valued by things such as our income or our job titles. That's how our employers show us that we are valued. Of course, the more important way that we're valued is not objective, but subjective. What do others think of us? Do we make them smile or laugh? Or do we make them not want to be around us? The more you value me, the more you'll stand up on a hot afternoon to listen to me talk about valuing. And the more I value you, the more time I'll take to put thoughts together to try to enhance the value of a Justice Southbury rally. We're all here today because we value each other, but more importantly, we value the principles of Justice Southbury, and we value our common vision of a more fair and kind community for all. And like most concepts, value is not just black and white. You don't just value or not value something as a binary choice. Like most things, value is found on a continuum of 0 to 100. Any of us can think of something we value: friendship, money, travel, pets, baseball, fresh corn on the cob on a July day. And all of us would rate each of those things differently on a 0 to 100 scale. So value, as a matter of perspective, is in the eye of the beholder. Value is how much something matters right now to me or to someone else. When we say we have something in common with someone, we're both saying that we value something in a similar way. And when we personally feel valued, we feel loved. When we don't feel valued, we feel underappreciated or neglected or invisible. Think of Ralph Ellison's The Invisible Man. Think of what Chris just said about being yourself or being invisible. Value is central to how we live our lives. I've spoken before about how I've come to believe it's really important to grasp that the two things we can control, the only two things in our lives we can control, are our attention and our effort. Everything else is out of our control, but we can control our attention and our effort. And what's attention? Attention is just, what do we care about? What do we value? And effort is, how much do we care about that thing? How much do we value that thing so that we put our time and attention into it? Which is why, when you think about value, this news story from last week was so devastating. Suicide hotline. The Trump administration plans to end the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifelines specialized services for LGBTQ plus youth. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, anyone who reaches out to the 988 Lifeline will still receive help. But the Press 3 option, which connected callers to crisis counselors trained to work with LGBTQ plus youth and adults under 25, will no longer be available. Since that specialized service started in 2022, nearly 1.3 million callers reached out for assistance on that particular line. And that assistance is no longer valued. This morning, just to check it out, I made a non-emergency call to 988 to look into this. The voice prompted me to press 1 for veterans or service members or those who care about them. It said press 2 for support for LGBTQI youth and adults. Otherwise, stay on the line to speak to a counselor. So we value veterans as we should. Their unique challenges justify a specialized counselor referral at a time of crisis. And this country was coming to value the unique challenges of LGBTQ youth and adults until now. As a society, we've gone from gay is bad or gay doesn't exist to love is love, we are all family, and now to we don't value you. So if you're feeling despondent enough to call a suicide hotline, well, you're not so special, so wait in line with everybody else. You're invisible. You don't count. You aren't valued. Like, don't ask, don't tell. We didn't want gay people to serve our country until we did. Now our governmental leaders are telling trans soldiers, thousands of them, that you are no longer valued as those who heed the call to serve. You don't count. You don't like it? Ha ha. Try calling a suicide hotline. Chris just mentioned a world where no one has to wonder if they're worthy, if they're valued. Our own Kevin Jennings just recently wrote an essay in The Advocate magazine in which he cited some sobering statistics. Today we're seeing a massive attack on the rights of LGBTQ plus people. Since 2022, an astounding 1,903 bills aimed at restricting the rights of LGBTQ plus people have been introduced, at least one in each of our 50 state legislatures. 220 of them have become law in 27 states. This is what happens when some are not valued. We've often said that Justice Southbury is about values, that we will start our consideration of an issue from the perspective of love your neighbor, not as a religious directive, but as a humanitarian imperative. Start with love your neighbor and see what that leads you to value. A value system that thinks about and takes the time and effort to remove LGBTQ youth from the choices on a suicide hotline. A value system that thinks about and takes the time and effort to remove LGBTQ youth who are at way more risk than most to harm themselves. Where did that value come from? How did it diverge so much from love your neighbor? So let's continue to ground everything we do in love your neighbor and go from there. Because we show who we are in what we value. And that in turn determines how we are valued. So in the face of this and so many other challenges to values, let's dedicate ourselves to being even more fired up and always ready to go. And so if you're with me, let me know. Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go?
Ready to go!
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go?
Ready to go!
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go?
Ready to go!
Let's go change the world and show the value of each person. As Chris said, each person has value in their life, and let's show that hate has no home here and hate has no home in our value system, and let's keep working for those who don't feel valued. Thank you, everybody, for coming.